around 99,990 rabbis in the database don't tell us how to pronounce the name. Meaning this was intended to be a secret, and we were never meant to know this. You and I sitting here were never meant to know this.
The rank-and-file Jew is never supposed to even hear this.
And certainly not a Gentile. And if I had to read 100,000 books, that probably would have never happened, and I wouldn't know this. And I would go around saying what scholars, as you said, for centuries have been saying, which is, well, the Jews didn't know how to pronounce the name. We find it in the manuscripts, but after that it disappeared and nobody knew how to pronounce the name. And what we find is, in fact, this was preserved by the rabbis. Maybe not all the rabbis, but we have rabbis who preserve. I want to read one of these sources, and I can't get to all 10 of them. For that, they'll have to go to my website, nehemiahaswell.com.
Good idea.
I'm going to get this in the segment that we have. I'm going to get as many of these as I can. And so one of them is a rabbi in the 14th century named Menachem Tzioni. And he writes a commentary, and in his commentary in Exodus 3:15, which is the verse where God reveals his name, and he's commenting on the words, Zeh Shmi Le'olam, this is my name forever. And this is what he says. He says there's also a secret here received by tradition in the vowels of, this is my name forever. What does that mean? Well, you read it in Hebrew, it's obvious. The word forever is Le'olam. And you can see here, I have a graphic that illustrates this. Le'olam has the same vowels as Yehovah, which are the vowels Shva, Cholam, Kamatz. And this is what it looks like in English. Le'olam, Yehovah. He's telling us the statement, this is my name forever, is itself a hint at the true pronunciation of the name. Now, is that what God meant when he said to Moses, this is my name forever? I don't think so. But the rabbi this rabbi in the 14th century, Menachem Tzioni, he's saying, look, I know the secret. I received it from another rabbi who whispered it to me in my ear or over water or whatever. And the way we remember this is the verse, this is my name forever, which has the vowels of the pronunciation of the name. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Who knows what he means by this? He says, this is my name forever, are the vowels of the great name. I don't know what he means. Well, thankfully he goes on, and he says, its mnemonic is, who in heaven can measure up to you? A mnemonic is an acronym that helps you remember something. And the Hebrew mnemonic, you'd never get this from the English. And by the way, this has never been translated into English. I'm the first one to translate this into English in 2017. And the mnemonic, who in heaven can measure up to you, the word there that's the mnemonic is the word heaven, which normally is the word shamayim, but in this verse the word is shachak. And you say, well, what is that? What's the answer? Well, Shachak is an acronym for the vowels Shva, Cholam, Kamatz, which are the vowels of the name Yehovah. And I did a thing here where in this graphic you can see the little two dots underneath the Yud. That's called a Shva in Hebrew. And it's funny because I'll talk to this friend of mine who doesn't know Hebrew, and he's studying these things, and he calls it the Shiwa. But no, we call it the Shva, and then the second vowel there is called a Cholam, and the third is a Kamatz. And if you take the first letter of each of those words, and technically in English it's the first two letters of Shiva, but in Hebrew that's one letter, the Shin, the names of these vowels form the acronym Shachak, which means heaven. So the rabbi has told you it's the vowels of the word Le'olam, it's the vowels that are represented by the word Shachak, and this is the same rabbi. And then he goes on, he shares some other things, and I won't go into all of it, but he ends this teaching, or part of it, he says, thus far, this is the most amazing part, Michael. As I'm reading this, I read this months ago, and I'm looking at this Hebrew text, and I was shaking. I was in tears. Here's a rabbi who wrote this in the 14th century, so we're talking like, 1375, right? That's 700 years ago. Nobody's brought this in the discussion on the name, and I'm reading this source, at least nobody I found. They'll bring the Gnostic sources, everybody, but not the Jews. Here's what the rabbi says. He's told you it's the vowels of Le'olam. He tells you it's the vowels Shva, Cholam, Kamatz. He says that a third time, which I'm skipping to save time here. And then he says, thus far the words of the man who revealed the secret to me. I got the chills when I read that. He's telling us he stood by a riverside with his ankles up to the water or something like that. I don't know if it was exactly that, but he participated in the chain of transmission. And he tells us that this was received by tradition. And this was revealed to him as a secret by some man. We don't know what man. but he received this as a tradition that the true pronunciation of the name is Yehovah, and the way he was told to remember it is, because if I pronounce a word to you, and you ever probably broken telephone? The way I pronounce it might be different how you pronounce it, and the way she pronounces it, and the way he pronounces it. But if we have these mnemonics and other devices, it helps us preserve the vowels. So if we know that the acronym is Shachak, which is Shvach Olam Kamatz, and it rhymes with the vowels of Lit Olam, which is Yehovah, there's no way you can get it wrong. And he's telling us, I didn't make this up. This was revealed to me in the 14th century. And this is just one rabbi of 16 that I've discovered so far. There might be more, but one of 16 rabbis who says the name is Yehovah, and he makes it really clear what he's talking about. So that's one rabbi. Let me bring you another one. This other one's kind of interesting, and I want to give you the background first. And I'm keeping my eye on the time. I want to get to I'm not going to get to all 10 or 16. I'm going to get to as many as I can. But so the background to the next one, this rabbi is a rabbi who wrote in 1608. His name is Shabtai Sofer. He's considered the greatest grammarian of the 17th century and the 16th century. And it's interesting because the previous rabbi, Menachem Tzioni, was a mystic. This rabbi is a grammarian. Very different mentalities for rabbis.